Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, we discuss the how-to of creating conscious leadership for business, life, and the world. With ordinary people doing extraordinary things and being truly in control of their own health, wealth, and happiness. Knowledge plus action with a plan creates magical results. Introducing your host, Julie Hogbin, author, international speaker, mentor, disruptor, and creator of conscious leadership, and property investor living in the UK. Today we have the absolute delight and pleasure of an interview with Matt Elwell of the Elite Closing Academy. I know Matt from the Elite Closing Academy, and Matt has been training me on sales and closing over the last year-ish, as part of the mastermind that I'm on with Nick James. And I've got your 3-day online training next week as well.
Cool.
So, welcome, Matt. I'd actually don't know where to start because I'm not the best seller in the world. And I know you are. And I really want you to share your magic with my audience on conscious leadership, on YouTube, on Instagram, to my audience, because I know you're really good at what you do, and I know you deliver it in a really heartfelt way as well. So maybe just as a start, could you tell us just, a snippet of who you are and how you got to be a world-class salesman closer that you are? Because I know you are, because I've got more information on you, which I'll share as we go through the interview. How did you get to where you are now?
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me, and for those
you're welcome.
Lovely, kind words. You're always someone that's kind to me, giggling away in my trainings and stuff.
Yeah, and that's not giggling at you, that's giggling at me going, yeah, I've got a lot to learn.
So, look, firstly, I just want to pick up on the sort of word conscious and a little bit on what you touched on. I'm a massive believer, Julie, as you know, that the world has to review the way it sells and closes. And I think the first thing to say is that to give context to your audience, it is important that everybody understands that selling and everything that happens during the sales process, whether it be, an exchange of marbles in a market in India, or whether it be an exchange of cash in the centre of New York, or whether it be, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, everything that happens prior to exchanging money and actually getting a proposal together, it is sales. And everything that happens after a written proposal is closing. And I think it's really important that people understand that selling and closing are two totally different skills. That's the first thing to say. And I think the second thing to say is that a human being, the heart that you're given has 60 times more power than your brain, which is more energy than your brain and your head. Yeah. And I think what I see is the best way to have a sales interaction, sales conversation, is to utilise your heart and your head. You see, when it makes logical sense and there's an emotional connection, that's where humans do business with other humans. And remember, businesses, corporate businesses are humans. Small businesses are people. Big businesses are people. It's all about people. And interestingly, around the globe today, only 7% of all global sales on a day-to-day basis is done without humans online. The other 93% is done with human interaction. So being able to utilise your energy as a human in a sales process is critical. And I learned all this stuff knocking on doors as a door knocker many, many moons ago in the wonderful city of Birmingham, which was pretty grey back then, and industrial. It's now beautiful and international. But I know the city like a street rat through hard work and knocking on doors. And that was my upbringing, and worked in the photocopying industry, which was pretty brutal. But I was lucky because I had a great a mentor, a manager who believed in great training. So some of the skills I teach to this day and utilise to this day, I learned when I was 17, 18, many, many moons ago. And then for 16 years, I had my own retail business selling tiles and bathrooms with my family, which is still there to this day. And I also have a property company with my brother where we did sort of quite a big deal with Tesco Express, a multi-seven-figure rental with them. So that's kind of my background in a nutshell.
It's interesting. I just want to pick up on one of those figures you've just... So thank you for that. And my background is accountancy, so my head goes figures, facts, evidence. Only 7% of sales are actually done online without human interaction.
Yeah. Humans.
That's it.
That includes Amazon. It includes like everything. Human beings need other human beings. We're designed to interact.
Yeah.
And of course, trust comes from within. And we've got really powerful tools as humans in the sales process. For example, the most powerful tool, or one of them, is your voice. And remember, we don't actually need our own voice to survive. We could talk to ourselves. If we lived on a desert island for 100 years on our own, we could talk to ourselves in our head, or sometimes you can hear yourself in your heart. But our voice was given to us as a gift to communicate with others about what we're feeling inside and what we know. So that's a powerful tool, and a computer can't do that for you. It can do a bit of it, but it can't get it across in the same way. Of course, the other powerful tool we've got is we no longer have phones to use. We've got computer phones. So we don't have to hide behind emails and never speak to people. We've got so much power, our physiology, the way our mind works, the way our heart works, our spiritual energy, what tonality says about us and to other people, the power of language. All of these skills are being given to us for free. And if you're not careful, you can hide behind the computer, and at some time you're going to have to come out from behind the desk and from behind the computer and start speaking to humans and using all of the skills that you've been given.
Yeah, I just want to, I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Picking up on what you've just said about the spiritual energy, I mean, I think, personal thought process, that lots of people, when they think about selling and closing, and I value that they are different because I've learnt that from you, I would not have known that. When you pick up on the spiritual energy and the fact that we are humans and that we crave the interaction, we're pack animals, we're herd animals, so we crave the interaction. And we also crave, if we're not the leader, like as an alpha male, female, and we're not the leader, we crave to belong to a pack. When you talk about spiritual energy, how does that connect when we are utilising the skills that you teach and train as part of your academy to all of us that are in either business for ourselves or entrepreneurs or property investors or in corporate? And I know you're working with one of the biggest digital agencies in the US. I know you work across internationally. I know you work with individual experts in their own field to multi 7, 8, 10 figure £1 million organisation. So I know you cut across a lot of size business. What do you mean when you talk about spiritual energy, and how do you suggest that people connect that? Because a lot of people I know wouldn't have a clue what spiritual energy was.
Yeah, great. So firstly, I mean, massive question.
Yes,
how long have you got? Blimey. But look, I think. Look, firstly, what I would say is everything in sales, everything in doing a deal, everything in creating long-term, long-lasting relationships in business, in life, in my world, comes down to one thing, and you can cut this up as many times as you want. It comes down to energy. It comes down to the passion and desire you have within you
Yeah.
And in my world, it's about sales and it's about collaborating and it's about building long-term relationships. How much drive do you have? What energy do you have inside you to make that happen? And that's what I refer to as spiritual energy. It's based around passion. I genuinely believe that I'm on this planet and have been given the opportunity and the blessing of life to teach others, entrepreneurs and leaders, experts in their field, team leaders, sales directors, business owners, whatever, that I am here to teach how to sell using your heart and your head, using brilliant, powerful questioning, understanding, having a genuine desire to understand what other businesses and other people might possibly need from your product or service, and then deciding whether or not, on a human-to-human level, business-to-business level, there's a relationship that looks great long-term, so that it's a win for them, a win for you, and a win for the universe. And I believe that is how you sell. That's how you sell. And when you put all the hard work into that energy and drive and passion to actually understand what others need from you, from your product, from your service, from your relationship, whatever it might be, that requires energy. Now, you can be great at marketing, you can be great at talking, you can be great at selling, you can have all of the skills, but it's how much do you want to implement them skills in order to get results? Because look, the thing that drives business, the thing that drives leadership is success. Success drives success more than anything else. And the most powerful, to finish this question off, the most powerful thing we have in our locker is to decide and take action through energy.
Yeah, it's interesting you saying that. I was coaching one of my clients this morning, or I was having an email conversation with one of my clients this morning talking about actually booking the next appointment. And I messaged her to say, you really need to put yourself on your to-do list, to look after yourself, because we were struggling to book the appointment in. I said to her that if you don't look after you, you can't really look after anybody else. So we've now got the appointment booked in because it was a bit of a wake-up call. And just picking up on what you were saying there about the passion and working with the energies, which I totally agree with, by the way, absolutely totally agree with that. How if somebody's not congruent, so they're not working with their own real, true personal energy, they're not working with their own real, true passion about what they do and how they do it, or even the subject that they're working with to sell, to close, to serve. This is actually very interesting. How would you, what's the process people go through with you as part of your training to sell congruently, to sell with passion, to sell the product that really is in tune with them? You know, if you've said you've been knocking on doors as a child, you used to sell in the photocopying world. How did you? And that's a hard industry. I understand that. How did you really grab your passion to do that versus selling tiles or training or cars? How did you work your passion through? If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a great. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think many people out there will know where you're coming from with that question. I mean, look, at the age of 17, 18, I did not have the passion or didn't have the awareness of what I believe I was born to do now. And I was passionate about getting out and finding a sales job and having enough money to go to the pub on a Friday night with my mates, bottom line. But all of those experiences were amazing and led me to where I am today. And look, I realised actually that my moment where I realised what my passion was in April 2017, and I'd been working in a family business for 16 years, and we'd taken it from a tiny little turning over a few £100 a week to 7 figures within 9 years. So from March 2000 to 2009, and we managed to buy a piece of land and actually build a 6,000 square foot 2-story showroom on there in the middle of the recession, which was interesting. A lot of learning there. But yeah, I'd done a big deal with Tesco Express to rent the ground floor of the property out, which was great. And I started to become just a little bit stale inside me. And there was a burning desire actually to teach and to coach and to serve and help and share others. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how it could possibly be a business. I've got a great life with a really nice salary. It was 50 metres. My business was 50 metres from my front door in the village that I live in the south of Birmingham. On the surface, it was all good, but underneath, I was feeling a bit frustrated. I was feeling a little bit like penned in. And I actually watched my uncle, God bless him, Peter, a South African dentist, left apartheid a long time ago and came to England with nothing. And he picked up, with just a few weeks after retiring after 41 years, very sadly had a brain tumour and died within about 12 weeks. And I can remember him passing away, and he was such a wonderful human. And to this day, still impacts my life every day. And I remember him passing away, and I remember just thinking, if that happened to me, what would my headstone say? Here lies Matt Elwell, who probably doesn't add up to quite as much as he should. And that was a really big moment in my life, actually. And it was like, I'm done. I need to go away and find whatever this is and turn it into something. And my advice to any conscious leader, to any entrepreneur, to anybody listening to this, is that you must work towards your passion. What are you passionate about? Because when you're passionate about something like I am now, I've recently written my first book, Open with a Close, which is about all of these experiences and how do you close a deal using your heart, using your head as well, and asking great questions. But it comes naturally, even though writing books doesn't come naturally, but the content comes naturally because I'm passionate about it. So my advice to anybody is to keep searching for your passion until it drops, because the interesting thing is inside you. It just takes time to come out.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking to somebody else this morning, and I think the word for it now is a portfolio career, which means you do one thing, then another, then another, then another. Whereas I think she was describing it as jumping from one thing to another, but it's now a portfolio career. So just picking up on what you were saying there, I think I heard you say, go out and find the thing that really makes you tick, that you're really passionate about, because then you can, you're being true to who you are and what you are and how you do what you do. And of course, I suppose from my perspective, so again, my first book was on the life-changing magic of setting goals. So I believe exactly what you're saying. If you want to do something, you can. I truly believe that. The second book I've just written is about stress, the reality of stress, because I truly don't believe anybody needs to suffer from stress. We just need to walk towards whatever's causing it and mend that, whatever that is, which is quite often having a conversation with somebody and standing up for yourself in a professional way. On that, thinking about that, so I know you run training courses, and I know they're really very good. And I do know they're very good because I've obviously sat in on a few of them. If somebody wanted to change their life, they have a passion. We all still need to earn money. So, and thinking that you have changed your career and you have gone from, selling the photocopiers to having your own business to doing what you do now. Piece of advice for somebody that actually truly wants to change what they're doing. So they may have a corporate role, they may have a corporate job at the moment, but they want to go out and work for themselves. They want to take charge of their own life. A piece of advice from you to them to do that?
Yeah, good question. I've got more than one piece actually, because it's just how I did it. The first thing I would do is the first thing you've got to do is decide. You can't do anything until you've decided. So you've got to make a decision that you're going to do it, because I spent probably 5 or 6 years not deciding.
Yeah.
And wanting to do something else.
Yeah.
And all the trappings of having a good family business and a pension and 50 metres away from the house and a great salary and all of that stuff, that I was hanging on to them because it's security.
It's safe as well, isn't it?
It's what I knew.
Yeah.
But the burning underlying thing was, hey, there's more for me. And it took the death of a wonderful human being for me to realise that the one thing that we don't have is knowledge of how much time we've got.
Yeah.
Time is the currency of life, right? So we don't know how much currency we've got when it comes to time. And that was a big thing for me to decide, no matter what, I'm out, I'm doing something else. And that was a big moment. Now, it's all very well for those people listening and, oh, well, it's okay, because I did get paid out and had cash in the bank to have some time off, okay? And that's helpful. So actually, and I've helped a number of people through this, is if you've decided that you are going to take the jump, but cash is the number one thing. Remember, cash and money is a resource. So my advice is be resourceful and find a way of giving yourself 12 weeks of cash, of monthly bills.
Yeah.
That you find yourself a little pot to go, hey, that's 12 weeks, no matter what. And then search for your passion. Because interestingly, if you got 5 years of money, you don't search.
No, you're right, you don't.
I had a fair amount of time, but the passion was so much, that that was my driver. But yeah, so if you give yourself a little bit of breathing space, great. But look, make a decision. Give yourself a bit of breathing space if you can. The next thing, there's 2 more. The next thing is involve other people on this transitional moment in your life. So ask yourself, who do I know right now that I can talk to, that can inspire me, that's already done this, that's jumped, that's created another opportunity for themselves? Who do I know that can support me? And often you will know them. And like that's involve others in the decision. Not the decision to move, but once you've decided, but involve other people in how it happens and their experiences. Talk about it, share, and look to collaborate and understand from others. That was really helpful. Involve others. And the last thing is get some training in the field that you want to move towards. I took a business coaching course, so I involved somebody else, my sister. I picked up the phone and thought, who do I know? Because I wanted to become a professional coach in some way, or a trainer. Well, who do I know right now who's already a trainer or a professional? Oh, my sister. So I involved my sister, picked up the computer phone and said, sis, how you doing? I've had a few months off. I'm really interested in taking all the passion around sales and running my own business and doing deals under pressure, and I want to take that and teach it to someone. How could you possibly help me? And she said, we've got this amazing business coach. His name's Andy Gilbert. He's a possibility thinker. It's a 4-day course. I can get you on it. And I went to that course, and I'll be honest, my thinking was really closed.
Yeah.
I was like, possibility thinking, what the hell's that? And who's this guy? And all. I was just an arrogant, closed-minded, little sort of narcissistical thinking, cock of all sort of jack of all trades, like big fish, little pond mindset, And do you know what? Within an hour, I was like, oh my gosh, it just made sense to me.
Yeah.
And he teaches an amazing sort of leadership, the seven ways to open your thinking. And he works in the corporate space, got an amazing business called Go Mad, Make a Difference.
Yeah.
And that bit of training well, it wasn't a bit, it was 4 days of international class business coaching training, literally changed my life. So they're the 4 things that I'd recommend those conscious leaders out there, anybody in corporate, anybody actually, you don't have to be in corporate, any human being that's looking to pivot direction, change direction in their life, but they're concerned and worried. You totally natural. You should be a bit concerned and worried. If you're not, it's not normal. But that's not a reason not to do it.
No.
It's not a reason to not do it. So they're my 4 things. You know, decide to do it and go all in. Give yourself a little bit of financial breathing space if it's at all possible. Involve others and stretch your thinking and upskill yourself. Get some training. Push yourself out a little bit. Learn some new skills. And you'll be amazed at what can happen.
Yeah. How would you suggest to people, so when, you know, I involve people, you quite often get the naysayers, you quite often get the people, so you're growing, you're developing, you're expanding your thinking, you're changing your thinking, you're doing something different, you're going into a world that you've never been in before. And I did all this in sort of 2011. You become a property investor, went from corporate learning development into property. And people around me were saying, you can't do it, it's illegal, it's this, it's that, it's whatever. So I actually stopped telling people what I was doing, apart from the networks that I were in that were in the same mindset as me. So when you say involve people, very interesting if you're trying to do this thing, but you've got somebody that you're closely connected to that may be telling you not to do it because it's illegal or it's wrong or you can't do it or whatever.
Involve people that have elevated thinking to what you've got at that time. I've got those thinking, and my sister is the director of a large business called the Phoenix Group. She's HR manager or director of a massive group. She's got open thinking. She stretches her thinking. She employs a possibility coach. That's someone I want to involve. A couple of my mates in the golf club who were in their late 60s, who had retired, who were got a problem with politics, got a problem with people, got a problem with everything, they're rowing to shore. Like, you don't want to be listening to them people. So choosing who to listen to is critical, absolutely critical. But just remember, if you listen to the opinions of others, they're just opinions and they're other people's opinions. Yeah. You've got to get your own opinions. Yeah. If you have assumption and presumption based on what other people think, just stop it. Go towards people that are bigger than you, bigger opportunities than you, are doing bigger things than you. Go towards people that have done what you want to do and involve them.
Do you have mentors and coaches, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a voice coach. I've got a spiritual coach, a tonality coach. I've got a presentation coach. My mentor is a guy called David Hodgson. He was my first boss. Up in the north of England, lives in a beautiful little place called Bear, just past Lancaster. And I speak to David. I've got a couple of best friends I've got a small group of best friends who are all entrepreneurs, professional athletes, business owners. So I surround myself as much as I can with positive, open thinkers. In fact, don't mind saying that when I decided to transition from my old world to my new world, I probably left. 95% of the people back in the old world are still in the old world, and I've created new possibilities, new opportunities, and sometimes it's definitely come an emotional experience. It's like, hey, there's the guy that once sees me and goes, hey, oh Matt, I saw that you were speaking in San Diego earlier this year, or I saw you in Las Vegas, or I saw you here, or I saw you in London. I'd love to do what you're doing, but I can't. And I was like, that was me. So I kind of actually separate humans into can'ts and cans. And it's like, to be honest, the can'ts fall into 2 groups. The can'ts and can'ts, and then there's a can'ts that can't. So there's some can'ts that are just always going to be can'ts and it's never going to change. Those guys, to be honest, I move away from. The can'ts that can but can't I generally try and help them, and then I transition toward the cans. So I'm looking for people that can.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So if somebody's a can't rather than a can't, so they're in the middle group.
If they're a can't,
yeah,
then I'll support them.
That one.
Until they keep saying can't.
Yeah, that group.
My rule is can't. My rule to a can't is, if you say can't again, I'm out.
So how do you get them from the can't to a can? How do you?
I can't. No, look, very simply, like, it's not my job to get a can't to a can.
Right.
It's their job to stretch their thinking and decide, transition from a can't do attitude into a can do attitude.
Yeah.
And look, that's where I think conscious leadership dwells. Hey, we should be searching for possibilities. Look, the future doesn't exist. It's not real. So we have two choices. When you look forwards, you either look towards possibilities creatively and all of the things that could possibly work, or you use the past or internal fears to see all the things that won't work.
Yeah.
And the truth is, you're not normal if you don't have some of that thinking.
Yeah.
But the point is, the skill as a conscious leader, as an elite closer, as a salesperson at a very high level, you have to have the skill to be able to search for possibility in the future that doesn't exist by having great energy now and shaping what happens next.
I love that. That's actually really got me thinking. So, if the future doesn't exist, what is your future?
No idea, Mush.
But you must have a plan. You must have some.
Of course,
vision.
Of course, I have a plan. My plan is to change the way the world sells and closes with great questions, no smoke and mirrors.
Oh, fabulous.
Total transparency.
Lovely.
Human to human. Sales should be natural and hard so that closing's easy.
Yeah.
And that's the plan, and to bring as many people on that journey as physically possible. My academy is growing beautifully at the moment, and we have huge plans into the future that doesn't exist. And the way we stay on track for those plans is to focus on the now. So what we're amazing at in the Elite Closing Academy, and my business partner Nick James is a brilliant strategic thinker, great wide thinking, something that he'll put down to learning from me, and I learned that from Andy Gilbert, so thank you, Andy. What we focus on is what we're amazing at. What we focus on is delivering international class training with an international class energy, with international class staff, with international class business owners, with a lot of love from our heart. And the way I would sort of describe it is, what I look to do is to teach sales and closing skills at a sharp technical level with a soft spirit. That's what I'm working towards. So that's the big plan. And the truth is that I put every moment of my life into my family and my business, and that's how I shape what happens next.
How do you? I mean, I know you're a family man. How do you manage to divide your time? How do you prioritise? Because I know you're passionate about your family, and I know you're passionate about what you do. How do those two passions combine? How do you make that happen? Because you could be anywhere around the world at any point, but you still maintain your family life as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think with an awareness, there have been challenges. I've got two little girls, 6 and 10, and my wife and I have been married for sort of 13, 14 years. So, look, she understands me. I think she's quite happy for me to be in America for a few days, to be honest, from time to time. But yeah, I think look, having a life partner that understands that, you know, my passion, the drive towards my passion, which is to serve humankind in a way that's never been done before, and to teach the world how to sell and close using their heart and their head. Get rid of persuasion and all that tricky stuff. You know, my wife understands me, so I think having a life partner that understands you. Interestingly, Kerry doesn't get involved with any of this stuff. She's happy for me to do it, and you know, she's got her own career in her own right, and she's a great mother and she's a great partner. So I think the first thing is just having an understanding, and it's definitely put our relationship. And we've had some, you know, challenges with me being away in America and being away a lot. That does happen. So I think the key thing is that I really value the time with the family, and we do lots of amazing things. We get out, we do stuff, we love nature. You know, we spend a lot of time out and about when I am home. So yeah, I think it's just about trying to get your priorities right. And I often in the early days get the balance wrong, and probably still get the balance wrong now. But truthfully, I think for everybody listening to this, we all know. I'm not actually a fan of the word balance. I don't really understand what balance means, to be honest. What I think is you just go towards love and passion all the time. It's love and passion with lots of energy. And the truth is, I put loads of love and passion into my family, and I put loads of love and passion into my business.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? On the balance, it's what everybody tells you to do, and it's probably one of the most difficult things to do, because we're all on a spectrum on everything we do, and we're never bang in the middle, which would be your balance point if you was on a tightrope type thing. You might be there, I don't know, a small percentage, but we're on a spectrum, and we roll from one end to the other almost permanently. Just recognising when you go out of kilter and you can pull it back in. And to do that, obviously, you've got to be self-aware and conscious enough to recognise that that's happening.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, I think this is where having great coaches, and, you know, I know you offer both consultation and coaching to your clients, and I think, you know, they're two different skills. But I mean, I've got in my immediate group, I've got people who can coach me if I feel that I've got my emotions slightly out of sync, or you know, if I feel like the whole balancing thing you were just talking about, you know, if I need to, my advice is, like, talk to people, check in, be aware. And again, 5 years ago, that's not something I'd even consider, but now it's something that forms a daily part of my life. You know, I always make sure I start the day early. I clear my thinking.
Yeah.
I make sure that I'm hydrated and stretch and get loose, and I always start the day and challenge my thinking and fire up my thinking, and always make sure every day of my life that I think about somebody that doesn't pay me, that I can help for free for 5 minutes as well.
Yeah.
I look to make sure that I'm just grounded enough. And by the way, my wife's great at this as well. Like, she's just so cool to have someone who's like, yeah, let's not worry about that. Let's talk about this. And I think awareness is good, but definitely having someone you can talk to, that is very helpful.
I wasn't going to ask you this. It's just come to my mind, because you are a man. You are of a certain age. You're not as old as me, I know that. There's a whole thing about mental health, mental awareness, being healthy. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on, as a male, talking to people about mental health, about, I mean, I see it as a strength. I always have done. It's partly why I do what I do, you know, coaching, training, consultancy, mentoring, whatever you want to call it. It's partly why I do what I do. And I've worked with a lot of people over a lot of years who perceive it to be a weakness to share that they actually need some help with something. And of course, when you don't get help, the thing just gets worse. which is, coming back to why I do what I do. I want people to be as healthy as they can possibly be, mentally, physically, within their business, the whole sort of gambit. And some of the youngest people that I've worked with who've had a problem have been actually young men, as in, I say sort of 24, 25, that sort of age. This was when I was, in a previous role, and I still do it now. But women are as bad. But from a male perspective, did you have to learn how to ask for help, or have you always done it?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very powerful question. Well, firstly, my family has very sadly suffered with 2 suicides.
Oh.
My nan took her own life on my father's 21st birthday. And my cousin took his own life, same age as me, about 4 years ago this November. And, this is something very close to my heart. I mean, my father is manic depressive and suffers with bipolar disorder.
Wow.
My mum's battled with depression for years and years and years. I've suffered with anxiety myself. My cousin's got a very rare form of schizophrenia. So mental health has been in my immediate family for a long time. And I think, look, firstly, the biggest or the hardest challenge, the hardest relationship in the world, on the planet, is the one that you've got with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for everybody, really. And it's such a personal thing. And for me, I grew up in rugby clubs, I grew up in football clubs, in golf clubs, around lots of males. And I do believe it's initially quite generational, to be honest. My dad, for example, was born in a tin bath in 1946 in the centre of Birmingham. He's like a council house rat. You can't get rid of him. He's like made of gristly old bone, Great character, tough character. And, it's actually showing and speaking love is difficult for my dad's era. And I think, the biggest killer of men is 38 to 45 years old, is suicide. And I'm right in that category. And, some of my friends have admitted having suicidal thoughts. I certainly have been through that with my cousin. So, look, I think there is definitely more awareness now than ever before. And one of the things I've learned is that it's judgment, internal judgment and external judgment is an ass, really.
Yeah.
And one of the things I search for is to just realise that everybody's on their own journey, and if I can support or help, then I will. And I think one thing we can do to sort of get better at this, by the way, is to ask better questions that come from a place of love. In my book, by the way, Open with a Close, one of the things I'm really proud of is there's one that is in here actually, is a strategy or a technique which I teach called 5 W's and a H.
Yeah.
And it's all about 6 words: what, when, how, who, which, and where. That at the beginning of any sentence will engage a human being logically and emotionally and bypass the fearful aspect of their brain. So actually, one of the things that we can all do around mental health and around mental awareness is when we know somebody's suffering a little bit, instead of saying like, how you feeling? Yeah, I'm great, and leaving it at that, it's to actually just search from a place of love with a better question. How are you really feeling? What can I do to help you? What's going on? To ask better questions and to stop speaking, actually. Again, this is what I love about great selling and closing, is that it actually has an impact on great language in your private life as well. By the way, one of the things I'm humbled with, and I haven't got a trumpet anywhere here to blow, because I'm saying it with as much sort of humility as physically possible, because I mean it in the right way. The thing that inspires me the most is getting a note saying, hey, Matt, not only am I making more sales and closing more congruently than ever before, every relationship I've got is better because of the language I'm using. And that's like really powerful stuff for me. So in answer to your question, I think You know, I now, if I know one of my friends is a bit down or suffering, I'm not pushy, and I'm certainly aware if they don't want to talk about it, but I just let them know that I'm there, and like, it's not just, hey, give me a call if you want to, which they never do. It's like, what's going on? Look, let me help you. What can I help you? You know, I just ask a better question, really, and make sure that they realise that there's someone that cares.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely massive. Questions are so powerful, so powerful. I listen to a lot of people making a lot of statements rather than asking questions, and I just think,
exactly.
You know, if you asked a good question, you'd get a far better answer than from making a statement.
Well, the power of particularly sales and closing, and the power of consciousness, conscious leading, being a great leader, being an elite closer. The power's in the question. You know, great sales is asking great questions.
I totally agree. As is great leadership and great management. It's making, doing it all consciously. It's asking the questions. It's finding out, going back to the root cause of the problem and dealing with that rather than just sticking that plaster on and create, dealing with the symptom. Just getting to the root cause of the thing and dealing with it, whatever that is.
The truth. What's the truth? That's the most powerful question a human has. What's the truth?
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, I'm really conscious of the time, and I'm thanking you for your time. I'm going to send the link out to your book with this recording whenever it goes out, wherever it goes out. How can people get hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Look, if anybody's listening to this, very kindly, you can post. Look, the book's free. You just got to cover the post and packaging. Only buy it if you're interested to learn more about how you use your heart and your head and great questions to have a congruent sales process, whether you're a CEO of a large corporate business all the way down to a solo entrepreneur and everything in between. If you have a sales arm to your business, your product or your service, and you'd like to know a 12-step guide to close deals with some foundational training around the human brain, the way it works, how you can integrate language into the process, and actually what the process is to go from cold to sold, then Open with a Close is a really, really good book. And on there, when you do download it, you'll get a chance to join my free communities, to connect with me on YouTube and all of the social. I'm on all of the social media, so they can just type my name in. But the best way is to get this book. And interestingly as well, I've got 5 steps on the journey to be an elite closer. Step one is my free content. This is step 2. You also get the opportunity to go to step 3, which is to buy some scripts for a few quid. But the truth is, it's step 4 and 5, which is my 3-day training, which you're coming on next week. Which is just a few hundred quid to actually learn what's in the book and what we've been talking about in more detail. And again, my team will, if you do buy the book, they'll probably give you a call about the training and how we might be able to help you. Because step 5 is my academy. So I've got a journey, and I'm good with people being anywhere they want as long as they're not stale. What's the logical next step? But don't just stand and consume for no reason. It's like, hey, if I can help you, great. If I can't, well, let me find someone that can help you, and then you can maybe introduce someone to me that needs my help. So, look, really appreciate you asking that question. And, for those of you that do want to have a system to go from cold to sold, you can download the book, which is going to be in the link. Is that right, Julie? You just be able to press the link?
Yes. Yeah, I'll get it in the link. I can get it into the link to the posts for this. When this goes on to the podcast, do you know off the top of your head the URL?
Well, the thing to do for the podcast is just go to eliteclosingacademy.com. And there's all the details about the training, the book. And if you don't know any of that, just details about closing and sales, for free anyway. So, that's it. And I think the one thing I want to say as well, separate to how people can connect with me, which I appreciate, the one thing I want to say is, look, you do this podcast, you do all these things for conscious leaders. And I suppose from my place, and the reason why I'm so happy to have been on is, look, I believe that when you sell and when you close consciously and from a place of love, with great skill and well-trained skills, so that your skills are high, so that your fears are low, and that you are not just consciously but subconsciously connecting to what you could possibly do to help somebody else. I think when you're in service, you'll always succeed in sales and closing deals. And I think, my message to everybody out there is find out what the truth is, find out what people really need, and then make a decision whether or not you've got the product or service that can get them the result. Because the bottom line is this: human beings buy from other human beings to get a result, or to accelerate results, or to solve a problem. And when you are an accelerated result, or when you are the solution to a problem, that's when people will come towards you.
Yeah, it's about getting the message out in the right way so people can actually hear the message, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant.
And it's about connecting to that message so that it helps them. That's the key thing.
Yes, yeah, of course. So selling honestly rather than selling for the sake of earning a buck or two. Definitely. Matt, thank you ever so much. Really do appreciate your time and the conversation. And thank you for coaching me as well while we've been on the call. I've been making notes as I've done it.
Amazing.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week online. Brilliant.
Can't wait. Thanks ever so much. See you soon.
Thank you, Matt.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Conscious Leadership Podcast. You can contact Julie on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and hear me out. Please subscribe to her YouTube channel for how-to videos and more content. And please message Julie to have your questions answered. Until next time, remember, knowledge plus action with a plan creates magical results. See it, say it, write it, believe it, and achieve it.